No, no one else sees, no one ever sees it except me. I'm watching everyone behind the scenes. Everyone's getting down. It's like, oh, dude, yeah, that's right. Beat those drums like it's Home Depot. Because it all sounds like PVC pipes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, clearly you've never seen Blue Man Group.
Oh, I
and
have.
what they can do.
Not
Yeah,
often.
yeah. Anyway.
Uncultured swines.
No, hey, I've seen Blue Man Group. Blue Man Group is awesome. I'm just playing an idiot. It's fine.
Wow.
Hey, Ironcaster, do you want to show the? You want me to show the map of the hypothesized occupation space that I found online?
Yeah, let's do that. Just since you were showing that to me earlier, and it might be a good idea to go ahead and pull up.
Yes, please. Lore is good.
Yeah.
So this is a person's interpretation of what space, of what land the Xeon occupied of the Earth. And we have
the reddish brown area.
Yeah, this is the area that the Xeons controlled at the height across the Earth sphere during the 1-year war. Prior to, I guess, what you would say, probably prior to the Odessa Day operation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have our wonderful heroes. They landed in the Gulf area and they made their way up past Seattle, and they're currently they're leaving, trying to head out towards the ocean.
Mm.
You have Jaburo down in this area, the capital, the headquarters of the Earth Federation forces. Dakar, which is right here, is where the General Assembly of the Earth Federation meets.
Mm-hmm.
And over here is the capital city of the Earth Federation in Tibet, the capital city of Tibet, Lhasa, or Lhasa, or however you pronounce it.
However it's pronounced.
Yeah, I would have no idea.
Yeah. And here is where the major Xeon mining operation of Odessa is. And over here is California base, where the Xeon occupation headquarters is. And Australia.
Yeah,
where
what's left of Australia. Yeah.
Sydney used to be.
I was hoping a little bit bigger.
So since Fenrir is not here, I'm a little less concerned about spoilers. Their next goal after where they land is Jaburo, correct?
Yeah, they're trying to find the entrance to Jaburo, and invade and take over, or at least upset the military hierarchy of the Federation, because that was the one thing that kind of threw them off at the beginning of the war, was General Revel's return, and his Xeon is weak speech. Have you heard of that?
Oh yes.
Not off the top of my head, no.
So after the Battle of Loom, General Revel was captured by the Black Tri-Stars, and he was, as the show will tell us, and he was temporarily held by the Xeon. But a group of Federation spies, in conjunction with Xeon spies who wanted to prolong the war, helped to get Revel out of Xeon-controlled territory, where he was able to send out a message to the Earth sphere saying Xeon is weak. Everything that they've done, they've already exhausted everything. So they're just putting up a show to try and trick us into surrendering. So do not surrender. Do not give up. Keep on fighting, and we will be victorious. And some can argue that is one of the reasons why Xeon lost the war, was because members within the Xeon hierarchy aided and allowed him to escape. after the 1 week battle.
Hey, real quick. Thanks for bringing this up. This has been a lot to kind of go into the lore, to get into some of the deeper stuff. I suppose real quick before I forget, let's actually get into introductions proper, shall we? Of course. Hi everyone. It's Ironcaster here. This week again with the Mobile Suit Roundtable. And it has been a lot of fun. I am so glad to be here again. And of course, we have with us, as we'll go down the list here, we have the newest member, what would you prefer, communications officer or intel officer?
Intel officer or maybe technical engineer, since I know so much lore and everything.
So that's where the intel would come in.
Huh?
That's where the intel would come in.
Yeah, true. So intel officer, I guess, would work.
Yep. Yes, the Chris, the unpaid intel officer.
Oh,
how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Yep, I hear you've been doing a little bit of a rewatch of your own.
Yes, I finally got Jace to sit down and watch some Gundam episodes. We got up to a little halfway into Vote to Attack with the attack on Char's resupply operation.
So I believe that's the 3rd episode, is it not?
Yes, I think so. Yes. So and then,
and speaking of, Jace is in the chat. Hello there, Jace. You know what? If you guys can catch up, maybe here in the next week or two, we can get you on as well. And I think that'd be a lot of fun to get more fresh eyes on this show.
That is my intention, is to get him caught up so that maybe he could join us if he wants to.
After
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yep. And of course, in the chat is also Speaker for the Dead. Let's hope you're not speaking for me too soon.
I don't know. Xeon keeps finding a way to come back.
You have Xeon.
Well,
you have the
speaker for the Garma now.
Yes, you have the Principality of Xeon. You got the Law's fleet. You have the Republic of Xeon. You have the Neo Xeon. You have the Neo Xeon Remnant. You have the Sleeves. You have Access Xeon. You have Martian Xeons. Yeah.
the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes. The Xeons are just they're just a cockroach, just won't die.
Basically, yeah.
I prefer the term passionate.
A passionate cockroach that just won't die.
Yes. I mean, hey,
I guess
I do have to commend the Xeons at least for something, as they're trying to promote independence or self-autonomy of some sorts. It's just unfortunate that they had the zombies and the zombies taking control of them.
Well, we can get into a bit more of that as the series goes on.
Yes.
Which, mind you, to this point, where we want to try and stay kind of up to, for the most part, what has the series thus far done with the original, with Mobile Suit Gundam. So we're trying not to get too far ahead there. That said, I love the fact that you are so knowledgeable, and in some ways you're surpassing me on this. So that is a huge resource of information to bring to this.
Thanks.
But before I forget, I also want to introduce welcome Brightest Day for coming back. How was our chief engineer?
He's tired of engineering. Let's put it that way. I'm here to lead and to read, and I'm going to do a lot more reading.
I was elected to lead, not to read.
Except in this case, I was elected to do the exact opposite.
Oh, yes.
I read, you lead.
Yeah, this works out for me.
I'm good.
I just have to go get my camera and
sure,
be a little shutterbug and get all the get all our
yeah,
scenes
yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot
yeah.
together.
Right. So this episode is it's action packed, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot actually happens.
Not story wise, at least. Nothing. It's kind of like a loose end episode where it kind of just wraps up something, but something that's really not necessary to wrap up.
Yeah, I would say this is a filler episode, and I don't know that I've said that about too many episodes so far.
Yeah, in like the two mangas that I have of the original Gundam series, both of them kind of skip over this because it's really not necessary.
In fact, doesn't the movie not even use this episode?
No, it does not. This is one of the episodes that the movie skips over. So for people in the audience who don't know, the Gundam TV series that we're reviewing is technically not the canonical events of the story. The real canonical events are the Gundam trilogy, which was brought up in the 1980s, and it was just a rework of the TV series into more of a streamlined storytelling. And there are some changes which we'll talk about later on if Ironcaster doesn't mind.
No, not at all. I think bringing up a lot of this little information would be kind of good to bring to it. Things.
Yeah.
Of course, the episode, of course, we're talking about is Icelina Love's Remains. So, should we actually get into the episode a bit?
I think we should. You gentlemen are ready?
I'm ready.
The episode opens with exposition on the details of the space colonies. Admiral Dozel Zabi returns in his Musai to Zum City, the capital of Zeon. In the palace, which stands in the midst of the city, Giran Zabi, oldest of the Zabi children, speaks to his father.
It's that palace that you said defies logic.
I still say that.
Yeah. I mean, also kind of worth pointing out here, this is the first time we actually have them changing up the initial narration from the narrator.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, we can only enjoy colony drops so many times.
Oh,
to start an episode off.
Okay, yeah.
It was nice to get that little technical detail on the colonies themselves, too. Even it wasn't a whole bunch of information.
Yep, and yeah, to kind of further and kind of remind people of how the colonies are in space, that they are these big cylinders that rotate in space, that everyone is living on the inside of.
Yeah, the interior.
Thank you.
As a side note, just to mention, is that originally the Principality of Zeon was originally called the Autonomous Republic of Zoom.
So the Chaz?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Actually, I need to recheck that.
All right, let me get through this paragraph and then we can start bullshitting.
Okay, go ahead.
He desires for there to be a grand state funeral, such that Garma's death not be in vain. Before Degwin can respond, Dozel comes in with Kycelia, the sole Zabi daughter. Dozel mentions that he thinks Garma will come through that door any second, but Giran tells him that dwelling on the past won't win them any battles. Degwin tells Giran they should pray in a quiet, respectful manner that befits their grief. On Earth, Icelina has made it to the Zeon base, where she meets Lieutenant Dorota. Dorota shows Icelina to Garma's private quarters, where she asks him to take her on the Gaw so she can get revenge on those who killed Garma. And here is exactly where this episode starts to fall apart for me.
Yeah.
The only way I can see this at all working out is if this young officer had a crush on Icelina and was trying to impress her or something. That's the only way I can see it happening.
Yeah, but it's really it's even then it's really shaky ground.
Yeah, I get that. It's just that's the only way I can see it working out, is if this young officer had the hots for her and was just like, I don't want to see her sad or anything, so I'm going to help her.
it's one of those things of kind of wanting to have a bit of build up. Like if they had really done more than just literally introduced her last episode, which is kind of one of those problems of the episode, as what is a problem of the episode. But there's something I do kind of like the devotion they kind of do, but for her to be able to just effectively take the remaining Garma forces to get revenge is a bit out there.
Probably also in defiance of the current commander of California base, which I think we see him later on, or at least I know we see him in the Gundam Origin show. He was one of the officers that was lined up with Nakuve at the negotiations for the Antarctic Treaty.
Who we will be meeting in quite a few episodes.
Yes.
Yep. And also, yeah, I mean, really, it's a little bit of a rough one to kind of go for with this. It feels like they were seriously short on time and didn't have the chance to go and really set this up properly.
Yeah.
Me. Yep. So far, Jay says he loves the show, and
yeah,
that's great to hear.
He talks about how he likes the old sound effects, like the white bass is klaxon and chirping when there's an operation going on.
Yep. Oh, it's just that those little touches are one of the things I really like with the show. Just the little, the odd little sounds you get to kind of fill in the atmosphere of what should a spaceship sound like.
Yeah, it's amazing what they could do back in the late 70s, early 80s.
I think we're all set for now. If we can.
On White Base, several civilians are still eager to flee the ship, and I don't know why there are still civilians on this ship at this point, but that's besides the point. Soon, the three Gaws approach. Gundam and gun cannon, piloted by Ryu, are sent out, and they manage to jump on one Gaw, firing on the ship. The second Gaw, trying to shoot them off, blows a hole on the other Gaw. Amuro and Ryu jump to the second one as the first one crashes in a spectacular explosion. Char arrives in a Lugan scout craft to help out, and thinks to himself that whatever they think his act of revenge for Garma or loyalty to Dozol, he'll end up looking good no matter what. So we jump into action almost immediately after, like, we get that brief scene that they're hovering on for a second where Amuro is tinkering with the beam weapon that becomes the lance.
Yeah, the beam saber. The beam saber hilt.
Right. He's explaining that it actually telescopes out to become the lance. I think it was it's like a safety lock or something. That was
the beam javelin.
We gotta sell a new toy feature.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I had. I think I had like 3 or 4 Gundams of the original one. I don't know how I did, but somehow I did. But 2 of them came with the G fighter, which we'll see later on, and they also came with each came with 2 beam javelins.
See, what's weird about the javelin for me is I don't feel like it's a more effective weapon than the beam saber.
No.
I don't think it gets you anything really.
And
it's kind of a throwing weapon.
Yeah, but the Gundam already has several ranged weapons. Like it just feels superfluous to me.
It needs another one.
Rule of cool.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yep, it's a lot more of Ryu being one of the key fighters of the crew that sadly, you don't really get a whole lot of time with him on the in a lot of these scenes. It's just he's just kind of there.
Hmm. He's
Yeah,
he's
but
like a fill-in character whenever they need someone to pilot whatever the other craft is.
though
Yeah.
I mean he does play an important role. He kind of is like the mentor to the other pilots.
Yeah, because he's technically the senior officer among them, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
he-
only one. He's the only one that has like simulated combat training, and while the other three, the Amuro, Kai, and Hayato, are
Hayato.
all civilians who are basically just what's the term that when they civilians are forced.
Conscripted.
Indentured servants.
Yeah,
Conscription.
inscription.
Conscription.
Conscription.
Conscription. Is that? I'm trying to remember. There's also another word that they use that was part of the reason why the United States declared war on Britain in 1812.
Press ganged, drafted, which is all sorts of
Yeah.
terms for being forced to be in the military.
Yeah. But,
Although technically press ganging is something reserved for pirate ships, but same application.
but I mean, yeah, I mean Ryu is, even though he's like a side character, he's still a bit important for the whole gang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully in the next few episodes he's going to get he's going to get some more actual. He's going to have his moments because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, he's one of the characters who gets probably forgotten about the most. Like people like Frau Bo and Sayla ultimately, I think, are ultimately seen as more memorable than him. He's just kind of there.
I think it's mostly around the second arc when they're trying to traverse Asia is when he gets his moments. But that's for another time.
Yeah. We can talk about those when they come up. But
I'm trying to find where Ryu's ethnicity is, and I can't seem to locate it.
Well, I
'Cause
mean, his last name is Jose, so he has to be.
He's some kind of Hispanic, but that's a wide net.
Yes, it is. It is. So I mean, my guess is that he's either a Black Tino, or he's at least Latino of sorts.
Yeah, I just mean like where was he born? I can't. That's the one. Is like where was his birthplace? Was he colony born? I don't know.
I think
Anyway.
he's Earthborn.
Yeah, I was trying to find it. I couldn't, but we can move on.
Give me a second, I can find it. But
I'll
continue.
get myself caught up.
Yep.
You got to really hand it to them for trying to be so bold as to play seesaw on the back of gauze.
Right. And it's weird. And again, this is where it starts to fall apart for me because Icelina basically Shanghai's not one but 3 extremely large attack carriers. Like the amount of forces she manages to put against the white base is more than almost anything Garma puts, unless you count the ground forces as equal. Like she gets a pretty large force at her disposal, basically by just asking.
Because so many men are just distracted by her beauty.
It's got to be it.
That's the only way to explain it.
All right.
Female privilege.
There's like one sentence before a little break scene, so it's
Okay.
White Base gets a transmission from the Federation forces, telling them that they can't be resupplied just yet. Things get worse when Char comes along in the Logan and fires a missile at one of the engines, causing White Base to lose altitude.
What up? And then we break.
The only thing I can so far have found on Ryu is that he is a colony born.
Okay, so then that kind of just breaks up the question. His ethnicity is one thing, but he's a colony born, so that I'll live with that.
Yeah, you got to remember that by this point, there's been roughly 3 generations of humanity who are born and living in space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the population of the colony is roughly 2 million, I think.
Yeah, I think we talked We talked population numbers in a previous episode of this. I can't remember what
I
it
don't
was.
say
but
like
the majority
3
was
million
out
or
in
something.
space. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's-
by the way, the original name for the original name for the Principality of Xeon was the Autonomous Republic of Munzo. And then when the Zombies took control, that's when they changed it to the Republic of Xeon in honor of Xeon Zumdaikun, the former chairman of Munzo, and then became the Principality when they gained enough control.
So
There
it's
we
like the Republic, and then the People's Republic, and then the Democratic People's Republic.
Something
Basically.
like that. Something like that, yes.
It just gets more and more bad as you add names to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was,
maybe we didn't think this through as much as we should have.
So I mean, it originally started out as the Autonomous Republic of Munzo, then the Republic of Xeon, and then the Principality of Xeon.
Yeah. What is in a name?
A miserable pile of secrets.
Basically, yeah. All right, I'll continue on. White base crash. Wow, excuse me.
White brace.
White base crash lands in the desert amidst a large sandstorm. The Lugan lands nearby, and Char gets out, leaving Dren behind. Ryu and Amuro come down off the Gaw, but Icelina demands that they be destroyed. Mirai and the others are able to make the necessary repairs to White Base almost immediately. But Sayla comes to the bridge, saying that the civilians are trying to evacuate, again. The crew goes down to stop them, but 3 have already begun walking off into the desert, thinking that Xeon is after the White Base and not them, which is mostly correct. Char, who was hiding behind a nearby rock, shoots them, but is soon chased away by Bright, Hayato, and Kai. Char escapes on the Lugan.
Thing all right?
Yeah, I was giving a break. Unless you want to go.
Just everything went silent there, so I was worried about my internet for a moment.
Sadly, those foolish civilians who wanted to get off quickly. Yeah.
Yep. As far as Char is concerned, they came from the White Base. They have packs of equipment in the middle of a desert. There's no cities. There's nothing around. They could be They could just be enemies trying to scout out.
Yeah. The only
Right.
reason why I think that there could be civilians still left on board is the whole maybe the Medias couldn't fit enough on, so they said you have to keep them on a little longer until we can come back for you.
It could be that they all have different destinations as well, or there's just not one place that they could have dropped them. Because I know there was that one group in the previous episode that said, "Okay, we know there's this town here. We'll go there." With the town, which ended up, not being there anymore.
But there were other settlements nearby at least.
Yes,
but that wasn't good enough for these civilians.
Yeah, that's
no. They had to go. They had to pick the desert.
Well, I mean, they wanted to get off the White Base no matter what. So I mean, obviously that's why I think the only reason why they were still aboard is because the Medea couldn't take them on board because maybe there wasn't enough room or something. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, why would they still be on board if they don't even want to be on board?
And not to cross streams here, but this is a situation that's handled in Battlestar Galactica several times, where you have the dispersal of civilians onto military craft out of necessity, and how you handle that, and the problems that come with that.
I still have to get to that series as soon as I can finally get the time to finish up Battlestar. As soon as I get the time to finish up Babylon 5.
See, I have to
will
get
be
to Babylon
delving
5, so
Which one? The original Battlestar or the remake?
the reimagined
I've seen
series.
the original, but I'm gonna go watch both.
Well, you can find the original on Tubi if it's still there. They haven't taken it down yet.
Yep.
So I know on Pegasus Actual, when we finish the reimagined series, Drew wants to go back and cover 1978. So I don't know if I'll be around for that one, but I know that's a plan.
Real quick, I want to greet Wake Down, who's coming into the chat. So mind your language, men.
Why?
Wake Down is here.
Okay, and
Have you seen Wake Down streams? Because I haven't. They're all way too late for me.
I will have to keep that in mind. Wake Down.
We have anything else we want to go into on this?
uh,
no, nothing I can think of.
That's good.
Char's got a crack shot as always.
With a pistol at that.
Right. He's surprisingly capable in almost any scenario, almost as if the plot needs him to be.
Well, I mean, later on in the Gundam Origin series, we know that he is very, very talented and capable of adapting when he needs to.
Mm-hmm. All right. So continuing on. Back in Zum City, the Zabi family continues to discuss Garma's death. Degwin wants to mourn Garma in peace, but Giran continues to argue that they are at war, and that he must make his decision regarding Garma's funeral soon. Dozel says that they should punish Char, who was responsible for watching over Garma, and Degwin tells Dozel to relegate him somewhere else. Back on Earth, Amuro attacks the second Gaw. The third, which holds Icelina, begins focusing all fire on him. His shield begins melting, but he is saved by a few shots to the third Gaw from Hayato in the gun tank. Amuro cuts the second Gaw in half and jumps down as it explodes. Dorota is injured from the explosion and can't steer the remaining Gaw, but Icelina, determined to have revenge, takes the wheel. White Base's forces fire on them as they steer towards them. Icelina maneuvers the Gaw so that it crashes right into Gundam, knocking Amuro back and disabling the mobile suit.
Should we talk about the Zabis, since we haven't really had a chance to really talk about them?
Yes, I think we should.
And I mean, aside from Degwin dropping his cane before, we were now able to actually, really talk about them. We've got all four of the remaining Zabis together.
Yeah, I mean,
which I'll back up real quick just to grab them.
So I mean, like, originally when the whole timeline was starting, there were 6 Zabis minus their mothers. You had the leader of the Zabi family, Soto. Oh God, Degwin Soto Zabi. You have the eldest brother, Giran Zabi. You have the second oldest brother, who's not, unfortunately, you don't see in this series. The only place you'll see him is in manga or the Gundam Origins, because he died prior to these events, and that is, oh God, hold on one second. I need to look this up because I just completely forgot what his name is.
I want to say roughly 68.
Roughly, yes. So Sasoro Zabi. He died in an explosion that gave that Degwin, or that Dozel Zabi, who is the third son, was in as well, and gave him the scars that you see on his face. And then there's Cecilia Zabi, who is the redhead there, and the youngest, and Degwin Zabi's favorite son, Garma. Who wasn't like his older siblings. He wasn't as ambitious. He had a little bit more of honor to him, like his third oldest brother, Dozel. And was a little bit more kind-hearted in some sense. He only did what he needed to do to get like respect and to try and get some respect and authority to get what he wants done. Otherwise, he wasn't as ambitious as his older siblings.
And we saw him allude to that in previous episodes, where he has this kind of fear of the authority of Cassilia, and he explains when he's explaining his plan to Icelina that he's, he'll abandon it all to have her if they won't give him what he wants. It shows that he's of a very different mind. And even the big guy, who's, I can't remember which one's which.
Sasuro?
No, the one on the screen.
Oh, Daegwyn, Dolzul, and Daegwyn, Dolzul, and Cassilia.
Okay, so I think it's Dozel. That's the with the
Real
scar.
quick.
Yes,
Just gonna
Dolzul.
say goodbye to Wake Down as he heads out. So hopefully
See you
catch you later.
Yeah, so even Dozel is like, I expected him to become an admiral. His siblings had higher expectations for him than he had for himself in terms of the hierarchy of the Zabi family.
And I mean, I think Dolzul was even expecting him to be the successor as sovereign of Zeon,
Mhm.
which is like the highest office in Zeon, which is what Daegwyn is occupying right now. And also, there's also Dolzul's daughter, Mineva Zabi. That's the seventh Zabi that we know of. So,
Who we haven't seen yet, so
yes.
we can.
She'll be seen eventually.
Yeah,
And
more on her in the future episodes and series.
Yes, and she becomes a very important pawn later on in the timeline.
Yep, and you have things like Giran, who's very quick and very cunning to take advantage of everything around him. So the death of their youngest brother is the perfect opportunity to have turn it into a military propaganda war,
a publicity stunt, basically, to drive up passion, drive anger, and hone it into a spearhead against the Federation.
Yeah, so that would be propaganda.
Yep, which we will see.
Really?
We'll be getting more into that next episode. So, plenty to look forward to there.
Yes. Hey, I mean, I'm trying to think. Does anyone want to actually read out the speech, or maybe play the speech just so that people can see it?
We can do that next week.
I'm just saying. An idea.
I mean, if you can pull it up, I'm sure we're going to have time because I have one very short paragraph left.
It's amazing. The javelin was able to cut through the Gao.
Yeah, and again, this is the scenario where I think that the saber with its longer cutting edge would have been more effective. Also, I wouldn't have cut through the hull. I would have just cut through the wing. Like the wing is
this was cooler.
Yeah, it wouldn't look as cool.
Anytime you cut down a plane from space with a beam saber, it's going to be cool.
Come on, everyone's going to go for a wing. That's easy stuff.
It would be one thing if it turned into like a giant, if instead of which essentially is a trident end, it had like a curved, like a longer curved, like a Naginata, where it just became like a longer beam saber that was two-handed. That would be cool. But
maybe
again, the hull of the ship versus the wing profile of the ship. Which one would you try to cut through in a hurry?
Well, I mean, this did what Amuro did, took it down quicker.
God damn it, Chris, agree with me.
I can't, though. I can't.
Good. Come to the Zeon side.
Now you're crossing the streams.
But I mean,
I would never.
In some idea, I mean, cutting off that part, it kind of knocked out the guns, because where's all the generation for the Gao? Isn't it in the back, further back in the ship? I don't know.
Did you pull that cross section up before, or was that for another ship?
I think
I've pulled one up for the Gaw before. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. But in any case, Icelina comes onto the bridge of the Gaw, finding Dorota dead, and sees Amuro getting out of the Gundam. She takes Dorota's pistol and points it at Amuro from the top of the Gaw, shouting that she will have her revenge. Before she can fire, she loses her footing, somehow, and falls from the Gaw to her death.
Watch out, that first step is a doozy.
It's the only step is a doozy. The evacuees are led off of White Base and are rescued by Federation forces. In the closing scene of the episode, Amuro, Hayato, Ryu, and Kai bury Icelina, and Amuro wonders who this woman was and why she wanted him dead.
It's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop at the bottom, except if you had a heart attack on the way down.
And the sand isn't exactly going to break your fall very well.
No. There's a reason why they use it to, like, as defensive, for defensive purposes, is like use sandbags or sand dunes or something like that. Sand barriers.
There's a lot of sand.
Yeah, well, dense and energy dissipation.
Yes.
So
It's
I really like this shot here.
and it just gets everywhere.
I don't like sand. Then again, look at what it's doing to the Gundam.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Gundam was basically just pushed into it. Yeah, it was ground into the dirt for a while.
No, Nerdporial. We're covering the TV series, not the movie trilogy.
No,
I mean,
but what
this
he's saying
series-
is,
Oh,
what he's saying is
okay.
what Chris was alluding to before, is that this scene was not in the movie trilogy.
Yeah, this whole episode is not.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, kind of just talked about it earlier already, but I mean, if you want to go back over it, it's just this. There are certain episodes, certain storylines that are addressed in the TV series that get removed to streamline the storyline a little more in the trilogy, in the movie trilogy, and technically the movie trilogy is the canonical telling of the story, and the TV series is kind of defunct a little bit.
And that had to do with Tomino having a more tight grip on the creative process of the movie trilogy and having less studio interference, I believe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
Because they cut
no,
out
he was George Lucas.
well,
Yeah.
so they cut out and we haven't gotten there yet, but they cut out the entire section around the G fighter as well, and several other things that were basically, as we've alluded to several times, put in there to sell toys. He was like, I don't need this to tell my story. I can take it out.
Yeah, I mean, the G Fighter is perfect for selling toys. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about now or later about its abilities. That's up to Iron.
I've got the kit behind me if you want me to pull up a picture.
I mean, there's one model of the G Fighter that I liked that was in one of the mangas that I just loved the look of it. And it seemed more practical than the G Fighter that's in the anime.
Honestly, I haven't seen the movie trilogy, so I can't really comment on that. Like my knowledge of a lot of the events, aside from having watched the show, is some of the game projects, like some of the PlayStation 2 Gundam era games.
Well, yeah, in the movie trilogy, Mkuve he survives. Let's just say that. He survives.
Right. I think I can remember reading this, but
yeah. So, I mean, since this is technically not what we're going to see in the show, I can bring it up later on if you want. But this is the G Fighter that was in one of the mangas I watched, or that I read, and I actually kind of like this depiction of the G Fighter more because it kind of is a little more practical than the G Fighter that's in the anime.
Huh.
And you have, let's see, so you have right here weapon pods along the side that shoot at Vulcans, another set of guns underneath, the beam cannons on top, and then right in between the weapon pods underneath is where the Gundam would attach itself and ride along the G Fighter.
This reminds me of the super pack for the Veritech fighters in Macross. Inverted, but
yeah. And then also the Gundam can ride on top as well. There's like a handle that's hidden in between the G Fight, in between the beam cannons.
Interesting.
Makes me wonder. Be kind of interesting to see this thing actually in animation or in scale with the Gundam.
I do have in one of my mangas it does show it how it looks and whatnot. So later on I can show that later on when we get to those episodes.
That's an interesting. We could probably spend some time just going over the technical details of how that particular, not the one you were just showing, but the one that gets shown in the series, how that interchangeability works in the field, and the possible applications of it. We could spend a little bit of time. I don't know what else goes on that episode, but
eventually,
yeah, right. Maybe by then I will have the kit built and we can do a live. No, I can't. So the problem with that is I have the version 3 RX-78-2 built, and the G Fighter kit is built for the version 2, and I don't think they're compatible. So I would have to go get a version 2 and then build it, which, oh man. Oh.
So you have the G Fighter for the second prototype.
Well, no, the second version of the master grade kit. The
okay.
They keep remaking the RX-78, so there's different versions of it.
Okay, I thought you were talking about like there's multiple.
Yes, yeah, there are multiple RX-78s.
Yes, the one that we see is the main one, but there was an even older prototype that all Gundams are kind of based off of, which is the RX-78-1, which kind of has a grayish black scheme.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. And they have the 4 and 5, which are kind of a dual, like they're meant to be complementary to each other, because one has a big beam cannon, and the other has a like giant minigun that it's used to cover it.
Yeah,
because I had one of those models as well. There's all sorts of variations, but yeah, when I say 2.0, I just mean the version of the RX-78-2 model kit is specific to use with the G Fighter.
So this I'm sharing a picture of the -1. So this is the Gundam prototype. All Gundams are based off of this model, which this was created from the gun cannon. Actually, the first mobile suit for the Federation was a gun tank prototype that became the gun tank that we know, and then from that we got the gun cannon prototype that became the gun cannon that we know, and from that came the Gundam prototype, which is before us, that then spawned the Gundam that we know.
Did they? I think I remember this. They reverse engineered a Zaku in the early development, correct?
Yes. Yeah. This was part of the early RX project that would eventually merge into the V project, or the Operation V.
Yeah.
And so from testing on this model, they would eventually get the GIMs, the ground Gundams, and the Gundam that we know, that Amuro pilots.
Yeah, because at some point they gather enough data from a learning computer that they can dish out an initial operating system for all those units, and that's when you start to see the GIMs just flood the battlefield, because now they have something that's usable.
Yeah, because by the time that the show starts taking place, they're already producing GIMs, and I think there was probably maybe 20 ground Gundams that we're going to see that are produced for the 8th MS series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're divvied up between the different mobile suit squadrons.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one as far as the technical perspective goes, because you get to see, not without trying to spoil anything, the interchangeability of parts between Gundams and GMs, and the capacity to upgrade a unit on, not on the fly, but within some reasonable period of time.
And also, going back to the sand and whatnot in the picture earlier, we actually get to see them in 8th MS team, them trying to clean out a ground Gundam that has excess sand buildup.
Yeah, general maintenance. That's such a good series. There's a reason it's my favorite, and it's so much more realistic and gritty.
If we do a 8th MS team rewatch, are we going to do the one with the Miller report, or are we just going to do just the regular watch?
We have just floated the idea of doing the review. Ironcaster and I have not worked out the details of it yet.
Okay, I'm just saying is like if we do the Miller Report, you can swap the Miller Report out for one of the episodes because it's basically that same episode, but it's just more to it. Like you see the trial that Shiro goes through and the investigation into him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe the three of us should work out who's going to be on the panel, how we're going to do that, and try to figure that out. I know we have Vegas coming up, but we can work that out.
Vegas and DragonCon.
Via Las Vegas.
Yeah, but that's not for another month.
Oh,
Viva Rock Vegas.
So, as far as this episode goes, and this is going to be a rough one, I think. What do you rate this episode?
Oh, see, it's ultimately like a redundant episode, really.
The only thing that's good about it is to sell toys. I mean, to sell the beam javelin, and that's about it.
Oh, we have a question for you, Chris. Nerdporial asks, Chris, how far are you in the UC marathon?
I am in the later part of Zeta Gundam. I think I have like 10 episodes left. Right now, our heroes have Char and Camille and Lieutenant Quattro have fallen back to Earth. They're actually no, they've actually gone back to space. They finally defeated the Psycho Gundam. The Psycho Gundam is completely out, and sadly 4 has lost her life. And
the Zeta Gundam, or there and back again.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Axis Xeon has.
Well, I mean, the show's called Zeta Gundam. Is there really not much? Is there really that much of a spoiler to say?
He's talking about events in the series.
Oh, okay.
There's like complete spoiler for anything that might happen.
And we'll get to it eventually. Axis Xeon has entered the solar system, or entered the Earth sphere, and so they're finally moving into the final stages of the Grips War.
Nice. I remember it gets pretty good after that. I mean, I vaguely remember it, and I had some problems with Zeta. I keep saying I owe myself a rewatch of it. So.
Yeah, and this is like my second time actually watching Zeta Gundam, but I haven't seen it in years. I've only watched it once, and it's been years ago, but like certain details still jump out to me. Yes, I've already gotten past Kilimanjaro and Char's speech at the General Assembly.
Ooh, this might have to be a bit of an. This might have to become a little bit of a bigger thing.
Yeah, when we get there.
Yes, when we get there.
It's actually funny. It's funny you mentioned Zeta. The last 2 kits that I've built on my build streams were the Hyakushiki and the Dejay.
And Jace's favorite mobile suit is the Ashimari from Zeta, the transformable saucer shaped. Yep. Which he refers
so good in that game. I can't wait to play that game.
Oh, that's gonna be so good.
And
it means I don't have to. It means I don't have to play an Activision Blizzard game.
We need to stream that. Like, we cannot get away with not having a stream for that.
First day I'm able to. I will take time off from work just to a 7-hour stream of that.
Yeah, and then after I'm done with Zeta, I'm moving on to Gundam Double Z.
Okay. Yeah, that was interesting.
It is.
It's like basically 2 different series, it feels like.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, the first half is like a bit comedic. Yes. And sadly, all English translations have been destroyed. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, Chris was showing me that apparently at one point there was a English dub that existed of Double Zeta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can find snippets of it online, but not much. And sadly, Tomino has ordered all English dubs to be removed and never be released again. and if you kind of watch some of them, they aren't the best. The voice acting doesn't seem appropriate. I do wish that they could re-release an updated dub with newer actors who could better portray the characters. But I understand why he wouldn't want those out. Same reason why he doesn't want the English translation of the movies out. Yeah, the Double Zeta episodes were done. The dubs were done in Hong Kong. That's what I read, at least. They were done by the Hong Kong and I think Singapore too, but I don't quote me on that. And I found there's actually a Facebook account, a Facebook account that has, it's weird. So the person, they took the episodes and you'll have the Japanese dubs talking and the English sub popping up, but at the same time a computer is reading the English subtitles. And so you'll have a weird delay of you'll hear the Japanese dub, you'll see the English sub, but then you'll also hear like a second later the English computerized speaking, and it's kind of
sounds infernally frustrating.
It is a little
weird.
It is a little weird, yes.
So I finished Zeta and I sat through a couple episodes of Double Zeta, and due to circumstances in my life I won't go into right now, I didn't manage to make it through that. And I tried to watch X after that just to get a change of pace, and that's kind of where I stopped my UC journey. So if I go back and try to finish that journey, I'll have to start with Zeta all over again.
But I mean, Double Zeta does get better as you get into it, because it kind of drops, the humor becomes a little less and less. It's still there in the end, but it's not as pronounced. It's a little more manageable, and the story gets a little darker in some ways. And the Double Zeta Gundam is amazing. It's huge for one thing. I think it's probably one of the biggest Gundams out there but at least from what it looks like. And it's kind of pretty cool. It's like 3 components in one. You have the core fighter, you have the upper half and the lower half that can be piloted by separate people, so that you have 3 fighters, and then they can quickly transform. The 2 other fighters can dislodge from the upper and lower half and let the main core fighter take control and become the mobile suit. And it's a powerful Gundam too, because it's got multiple. It's got like a beam cannon on its forehead. It's got a twin-barreled beam rifle, and then it's got these massive beam sabers attached to its back.
Even just like from a theoretical perspective, you just explained you've got 3 units that have 3 separate power plants that I imagine when they are joined kind of act in unison and kind of become greater than the sum of their parts. It makes sense that would be a very powerful Gundam.
Yes. So
okay, I see the big red barrel in the forehead. Yes,
so that's one of its many weapons that it can use, and it's quite powerful. It's actually trying to think. Yeah.
So this looks like, and I know this is only a manga, and I can't remember where it falls chronologically, but the EXS, or the Alice, as I like to call it.
The Alex, yes.
No, not the Alex. The EXS with the Alice system. Yeah, I know that's confusing, but the forehead shape, the shoulder shape, the boosters on the back, it shares a lot of design elements for that. The knees.
Okay.
I'll look up an image of that. You can go ahead.
It's making me want to play one of the build games. The ones where you get the gun, the model kit pieces, and you can build up your own custom unit.
Yeah, I forget what that's called, but I know the one you're talking about.
I think.
Grab a couple.
That's the Zeta, and then
that's the double Zeta.
EXS. The double Zeta.
That must be
that's the EXS, and you can see the similarities in the design language.
Okay. But let's see here. So
components really not.
He's saying it's like a mini Ideon.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep, I forgot that message.
here is an image with the double Zeta with its twin beam rifle.
I'm just looking at that image actually.
Nice. Okay. Yep.
So, and then the two things sticking up in the back are its beam sabers. The two barrels sticking out from the back is the beam sabers. So I mean,
okay.
those are some big things.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I
Beefy
think
boy.
I think Judo Ashton gets too much. He gets too much of a bad rep. He's actually kind of I actually kind of liked his character when I first watched the show several years ago. He's actually a pretty interesting new type in his own right.
Yep. To answer your question, Nerdpoil, I have not either.
What is
Brightest
that?
Day said he didn't, but I thought I would go ahead and address that. No, I haven't seen it. It has been on my list of shows I've been meaning to get to. What about you, Chris? Have you seen Ideon?
Doesn't sound familiar, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I believe it's the series that Tamino worked on prior. It's kind of like the big inspiration for all the Gundam things. You hear Robert Meyer Burnett talk about it at length because he has a a collector's statue of the Ideon.
Okay.
I know of its existence. I never watched it. It's another thing on the long list of shows.
Okay, and
Ooh.
here is an interesting depiction of the various components of the Zeta Gundam, of the double Zeta Gundam.
Yeah, so you did it too.
So you have the lower half, the upper half, and then the core fighters sitting inside of both halves can dislocate, and the main core fighter can fly in combined and create the double Zeta Gundam.
Yeah, I always had kind of and it's even worse in space. The capabilities of a transforming suit into something that has like a more flight capability is questionable at best. And then in space, it's completely pointless.
I mean,
the ability to split into three is wholly useful. I do not discount that at all, but turning into a plane in space is useless.
well, I mean, they actually kind of address that in Zeta Gundam. If it wasn't for God, his name also is Camille, we would not have the Zeta Gundam because Camille was influential in perfecting the transformable aspects.
Right. I'm trying to remember. He like not reverse engineered, but the Mark II, but he used one of the Mark IIs as kind of the base for it.
Something like that. They were already testing transformable mobile suits in the AUG. They were actually for example, the Hyakushiki was actually just a prototype for what was going to become a transformable mobile suit, which was the next step. It's just that mobile suit was dropped, and they just stuck with the Hyakushiki, and then Camille came in and he started studying and started making adjustments himself to the transformable aspect.
I stand by my statement. Planes in space, useless.
Hey, Jace, welcome back. Thank you. Let's see. We go at about an hour now, so I think that's basically at about that point. We should get back to actually giving the review, giving a review for the episode.
Yeah, we strayed a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you how exciting and how amazing this episode is if we strayed this far.
I'll say like a 5.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 6, so somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got a lot of dumb in it, and I might actually go down to like a 4, just because ultimately it feels like a redundant episode, and we could have just not had this episode at all.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna go for 4.5 to 5, somewhere in that range. Because
No matter how you slice it, it gets a failing grade.
it very much is unnecessary. All that we got was just a little bit of action packed, and that's the only redeeming part of the episode is a little action packed, and everything else was not necessary at all.
Yep. What about are you going with the 5? Zach?
I think I gave it a 6, but really it's however you want to slice it. I think I was just being a little generous.
It's middle of the
Yeah.
pack. Really, nothing going to be so high up. Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind be against that. You're welcome on. We just got to make sure we can do a little talk beforehand and kind of get schedules lined up. That's really the main thing. So
it'd be good to swap me and him out if I'm going to be out for Dragon Con and then for Vegas. So
okay, yeah, that should be a problem.
So someone is going to need to be typing up the future narrations.
Yep. And the show is too much amazing. Need more of this positive, nice streams, just talk shows or whatever. We need more of that. Yes, I absolutely agree. Because I mean, frankly, as I've said many a times on this show, in fact, is I've kind of felt like there's been so much negativity generally out there that I kind of wanted to have something positive and to help kind of reintroduce to some people, or in some cases, introduce people for the first time this franchise. And I think it's important to show.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice for us to like dig up stuff that has been lost, kind of either lost or forgotten, and that were loved by by people, and that inspired much of the amazing work that has been done in the previous 10 years or so before all this insanity that we have now.
And really as one of the like the chief king animes out there that is this franchise, it's a good one to go delve into because there's a lot of highs and lows and there's a lot of fun.
So I mean,
yeah, it's a good review.
That was weird. Your mic just cut out and you kind of just stuttered.
No, sorry,
I thought I was supposed to be the one that stuttered around here.
I probably you were the cable.
You were doing that a lot yesterday.
Yeah, well, apparently, actually resetting my router seemed to have done the trick.
Oh, that's good.
And by the way, you are wrong. Anything that transforms is cool.
So what I was saying is this is a nice refresher for me. I'm more of a enthusiast. I lack. You and Nerdpurial both have huge depths of knowledge, and I have a very short memory. So I ask a lot of questions and I have good insight, but I don't remember a whole bunch. So,
well, I mean, you do good a job. You do good a job at. You do good. You do an amazing job at asking the right questions to better expand upon.
I agree.
And I do like your narrations that you do for these episodes. So,
thank you. I'm trying to lean to my strengths. So. Again, I just don't remember a whole bunch. I've watched a lot of it. It's so deep in the memory, and I couldn't possibly recall it if I wanted to.
Yep. Nerdporial says that you're better with the mobile suits than him.
Speaking of which, in an hour and 45 minutes, I will be building the Master Grade Barbatos on my Gundam build stream, which is going to be about a 2.5 to 3 hour stream. So I will be up pretty damn late.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Jace, this was basically my idea, and I love the fact that we're seeing more and more people starting to do just this, and because you see like Fat Steven Seagal is covering Babylon 5 with some people. Brightest Day here is of course going through some of the Battlestar Galactica stuff, and how many more episodes do you have for the novel?
4. I think I just did session 6 last night, so I have 4, which should put me, if I do, I think I end it sometime in September. So I've got a good month and a half before I'm done with that, and then I have the next novel after that. But I don't know if I'm going to jump right into that or if I'm going to try to follow through with the war stories idea I was tossing around because I have a few stories to work with. But
cool.
Oh yeah. Oh good. Nerporio, you'll be talking Trek on the Star Wars Guys channel. I don't think I'm familiar with the channel, but
So Salacious Rum pulled us into a big chat with some members of the toy collecting community, and a lot of them have very big channels.
Oh, okay. That sounds really cool. I will definitely have to check that out. Yep, Babylon 5 is in fact amazeballs. Though I gotta admit, like season 5 has been a little bit of a tough one for me to like get the energy to go back and finish up.
Yeah, I haven't watched Babylon 5. I have seen Battlestar Galactica, the remake of Battlestar Galactica. Stargate was my thing back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I love that show.
Good stuff.
Stargate and also Stargate Atlantis. Did you know that there was an animated series?
Oh, Stargate Infinity, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's on Tubi. I think that's on Tubi too.
Yeah. Oh, I remember watching that on Saturday mornings.
I think it's like the redheaded stepchild that no one wants to talk about.
You mean aside from Universe?
Yeah, well, I think more people are accepting of Universe than Infinity.
Yeah.
It's sad that they never got to like finish. Never got to really finish the show. Okay, cool.
And yeah, no, yeah, like this seems like a perfect opportunity to kind of get back into the wrap up.
Yeah.
So Chris, what do you have going on this week? Anything special? Any shows?
Well, I mean, on Thursdays, Jason and I we do the Beyond Show, which is what we just basically go around, talk about the news of the week, geek stuff, and etc. and whatnot. And then Sundays we're trying to start a show about, as Jace is talking here, talking about the old EU, which is our Tales from the Jedi Archives show, talking about the old EU, what's going on, what has gone on, what's going on in the Star Wars universe from pre 2012 stories. So right now we kind of just did a little overview of the earliest novel in the Star Wars chronology, which is Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, which is basically talks about a religious order on a planet called Tython in the deep core of the Star Wars galaxy, where who are the ancestors of the Jedi Order. They're called the Jedi Order, JE'Daii in order. And one of the earliest, basically leading into a series of events that will radically change them, and eventually give birth to the Jedi Order that we know. So,
Acted up. Of course, I can't do a link properly.
But then on some occasions I will be on some occasions when I'm available, I will also be on Jace's Monday show, which is the From a Certain Point of View.
That was the one I had come on yesterday.
Yes, it was.
That's right.
So you'll find me on the show. The show. These are all hosted by 540 Studios.
That's 540 Studios spelled out in words, not with numbers.
Yes.
Here, let's help things out a little bit. We'll go ahead and make Nerporio a mod.
I'm gonna get you a link.
Yep, I just linked it.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that works.
And because Jace as well.
Yes.
Yep. We're gonna be having you on here shortly as soon as you get caught up for an episode. So
have an outsider's point of view.
Yep. So which I could maybe do next week, but we'll have to see how things are with the show here next week. But more importantly, let's Brightest Day, you want to go ahead and give us and give a little sign off for yourself? You have your show tonight.
I do. I have Gundam Build stream at 9 p.m. Eastern. It will run for about 3 hours, like I was talking about before, building the Master Grade Barbatos Gundam from Iron Blooded Orphans. Thursday night, I will be on Pegasus Actual Podcast, where we'll be finishing up Season 3 with the trial of Gaius Baltar. And then the rest of the week, I am just going to be dropping time lapses and shorts and comic panel voiceovers and all kinds of crazy stuff before we head out to Vegas. And then nothing for a week.
I'm not gonna be able to make it, so I want go have fun for me. Maybe see if you can find some pictures of some Gundam model kits or something. Send those, put those out. Just because, hey, anyone who can send me pictures of robots, I love it. I appreciate it.
I'll do what I can.
As for myself, I will. Let's see. Thursday, I will be on the Global Geek Gang over on Clobbering Times channel. So we might have a little bit of a buffering of times there, but we can talk about that later. We can talk about that later, Chris.
Yeah.
Friday, I believe Friday I've got a bit of a double duty, both before and after Friday Night Tights. I'll be over on Father Christopher Miller's channel around 4 p.m. Eastern. Or we're just we're with part of the build up to Friday Night Tights. And then Friday night afterwards, so about 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser's channel, who is linked in the description. And we will be talking about alternate takes and what ifs and Elseworld stories for comic books.
Nice.
So, what if Batman was a vampire?
Oh,
well,
okay.
didn't they already do that? Didn't they already do that?
That's what I'm going to be rereading this week, and I'll be talking about that. Anything other than what if Superman went evil? Because that's never been done before, right?
Bright Star.
If I can get the time for it, I will also be on T-Shirted Historian's channel Saturday. I should probably put a link for him in the description. And then Sunday, I will be on with the Pop Culture Archivist, who I am a member of.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday. Sorry, it's long week. Coming up, we have the Fantastic Four 60th anniversary celebration over on Clobbering Times. So, busy week for me. Guys, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having us around.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Yep. Next week, we will be covering The Threat of Zeon with special guest Agent Decibel.
Ooh.